If we were to put everybody who's been traumatized in the same room and we would try to figure out what is the one thing that every single one of them has in common, I would bet money that the most common issue amongst everybody post being abused is that they feel unworthy. And that is the core reason why they continue to suffer after the abuse is done. Because what they went through has made them shape a belief and view themselves under a lens that tells them that they're not worthy, they have no worth. And so their entire life is built based on that belief, which means this alters what they tolerate, what they think is possible for them, and how they treat themselves. In this video, I want to talk to you about one of the most painful wounds that we can all carry, that most of us carry, and that is the one of unworthiness. And I talk about this wound here especially because for children of narcissistic parents, feeling unworthy is like the trademark feeling. So it's the thing that unites us. Because when you're treated with disrespect, when you're humiliated on the daily, when you're constantly criticized, when you're compared, when the parents that you have act like your feelings are an inconvenience, when your needs are being bypassed, when you're ridiculed for even having the needs, you're ridiculed for having too big of feelings for the things that are happening. That slowly builds up an image and an understanding of ourselves that my needs don't seem to matter, my words don't seem to matter, my feelings don't matter, what I have to say doesn't matter, who I am doesn't matter. So I must not be worthy of to be given the things that I need. And so we're being excluded from the experience of acceptance, unconditional regard, parental unconditional regard, the only human on this planet, excluding our dogs and our cats and our pets, that can look at us with pure adoration no matter what we're doing, has excluded us from the experience of being unconditionally loved by them. And so the only conclusion that we could come to when we're 7 is I must be not worthy of being treated kindly or being given love, or this privilege that being accepted is. Me, as the core of who I am, is not worthy. Which means that if I want to somehow access being loved, feeling accepted, whatever, I'm going to have to work for it. Which by definition means I'm not deserving of it as I am. I have to earn it. And if only this stayed in childhood, we would not be talking about it right now, because it'd be like, we have enough things to worry about than to worry about what we used to do when we were kids. But the problem is that if this is what we were taught, this is how we behave today as well. We do way too much. We try way too hard. We put in so much work to hopefully get people to love us, to accept us, to include us, to be nice to us. So we take it upon ourselves for people to give us what is rightfully ours: respect, empathy, kindness. And we feel like we must be the ones to do the work and make those people change towards us, just like we did with our parents. We try to make bad people be kind to us because we've done something to help them shift out of that. And so we become fixers, right? We parent everybody in our lives. We parent our parents, we parent our friends, we parent our lovers in a way where we're trying to teach people how to love us, to teach people how to understand us, to teach them how to hold space for us. So we believe that if I'm going to be doing all of this work, at some point they're going to love me. If I show up like I don't have needs, at some point they're going to see the value of having somebody with not too many needs in their lives, right? They'll be like, well, this person doesn't cause me any issues, so I want them in my lives. And at some point, we end up acting like we don't identify or see our own worth so much that the people around us pick up on it too. And obviously, there's some kind people in this world that can see through all of that. But for the majority of the cases, when we show up as if we don't have worth, people around us will not value us. They will value what they get from us. They would value what we do for them. But more and more, they will see that they can get all of those things from us without giving us anything, or give us some breadcrumbs. So we're trying to be convenient. We're trying to be performative. We're trying to do all of these things to get people to recognize how nice and how good and how loving we are and how we deserve their love. But if there's one thing I've learned in my entire life, in my 40 years of life, is that if you have to earn someone's love in any way, shape, or capacity, you can hold on to it. You're going to have to continue the act to maintain them interested in sort of like wanting to continue to take from you. But eventually they will have taken enough. You don't even have to stop giving. At some point, they will have taken enough, and you will have contributed into the project of fixing random people that are going to go on to the next person fixed by you. And then you're going to worry and you're going to wonder, what is wrong with me? Why does everyone leave me? Why do I always end up like this? Why don't people appreciate what I do for them? Because in reality, we don't do the things for people. When we were raised in narcissistic homes, in toxic homes, that teach us that our focus should be how the other person is feeling. And we should sort of like run through everything we're going through, everything we want, everything we need has to be filtered based on what others have ability to give us. When we are raised in these homes that are so centered on someone else and never teach us to center around ourselves, everything we do is going to be filtered around what others want, what others need, who they want us to be. So we're showing up in our lives completely inauthentic, disconnected from our true nature, our authentic needs. And all we do is try to get people to love us. This is our only goal. And I know this sounds very manipulative, and in a way it is. Our nature of adaptation relies a lot on manipulating the environment, right? On trying to get the environment to give us what we need one way or the next because we have needs. But if you think about you as a child in a home where your needs were neglected, your feelings were ridiculed, you were constantly shamed, compared, you were treated very badly, and most importantly, without a trace of empathy. It was a matter of life and death for you to figure out a way to get these people to be kind to you. You needed to get them to somehow see that you have some value, enough value in their lives so that they would treat you better. So in a way, you found the path to making yourself useful so that users are benefiting from having you in their lives, these parents, and therefore treat you kind of okay. And so this way, you became this person who knows exactly what they're meant to do in order to continue to stay safe. And in the basis of feeling fundamentally, fully, completely unworthy, every decision you make, every relationship you're in, every word you say to yourself is infected by that belief. Because the way that you've been treated has shown you that you're unworthy. And then you've assumed that to be the truth. And so you don't perceive yourself as worthy. And this isn't just me saying, you know what, you're worthy. And you're like, oh my gosh, I know I'm worthy. It doesn't work this way, right? We believe that we're unworthy in a place where we cannot access by just saying, I'm worthy, I'm lovable, I'm enough, right? We try to bring in affirmations. We try to read books that feel inspiring. We try to do all these things. But the true core belief of our unworthiness exists so deep within us. And it is a memory stored with such a childlike perspective that our only way to alter and sort of like bring in new information in that perspective is if we can access it from the consciousness that it was created in by doing inner child work, by connecting with that part, and then bringing in the wisdom of the adult that we are. So In a nutshell, your toxic and emotionally immature parents raised you to feel unworthy. And your only access back to your worth is by reparenting yourself, right? So it's like you have to raise yourself all over again to teach yourself you're worthy through how you are treating yourself. Because essentially what happens is we're raised in these homes, we're treated this way, we believe this about ourselves. And then we go on this quest, futile quest, to get someone to recognize the worth that we are not even aware of. Like we truly, it's really a paradox. The paradox of this is this, that we feel fundamentally, completely unworthy. And we're going to people and we're trying to get into relationships to people, into relationships with the world, hoping that they will recognize the worth that we don't see. So in a way, we have this apparent belief that we are worthy and somebody will recognize it. It's a matter of time. But the way we're acting to be recognized for that worth is in full alignment with the understanding that we're not worthy. So in a way, we're operating in our adult lives as if we're children, right? With the belief of that child that says, somebody has to recognize my worth. What do I do? How do I manipulate the environment? What do I do? What does the world need from me to show me that I'm worthy? Because I still need someone to show me that I'm worthy. And as I said before, the ways we're doing it are fundamentally us treating ourselves like unworthy. And then people just end up using us, taking us for granted. And they were sitting thinking, why? I don't deserve this. I deserve more. You do deserve more. But the way you're going for getting that is what's problematic here. At this stage of our lives, after childhood is over, it is very rare to have somebody show up in our lives and teach us that we have worth in a way that fundamentally alters the core belief upon which we build our entire personality. And we predicted our entire lives, and we shaped all of our beliefs based on it. The safest bet and the most efficient way to do that is that if we start treating ourselves as if we're worthy, is if we try to remember so much of who we were so that we can finally activate the one thing that was never given to us. And it's that one thing that taught us that we were fundamentally unworthy. And that is empathy. If you think about being treated so horribly with no empathy, you are obviously concluding you don't even deserve to be treated with respect or kindness or to be protected, right? These messages keep coming to us from all directions, from every minor conversation, from every moment, every day, on the daily. Eventually, there's no evidence of the opposite because everything around us is giving us the same information. And then we go through our adult lives and recreate all of that based on giving so much effort and putting in so much work to get people to love us. And then obviously them showing that they're taking us for granted, or we have to keep up the show for them to stay in our lives. I used to be everybody's fixer, of course, right? Now I've turned it into a job, which is actually great and very fulfilling. But when I used to do it for my friendships and the people around me, I'm not even going to go to the men that I took on as projects, but more into the friendships. And what was really impactful for me was that in a very difficult time of my life, when I stopped being the support system for everybody in my life, because I was really struggling, I lost everybody in my life. And obviously I lost them because I was also not acting as a person that they used to know, right? I was not tolerant to things. I was really in a bad state. But at the same time, it really opened up something for me because I saw that now that I'm not showing up the way that I used to show up as, by giving, supporting, tolerating, being okay with everything, being that chill person who doesn't need or expect things, people were there. But when I stopped doing it, they all just said, she'll get over it. I hadn't let anybody know that I also need support, right? That I also have expectations, that I also have moments where I cannot provide any support for anybody. And what I did after that period, it was a long period of saying, I'm not going to help anybody in my life ever again until I figure out how to help myself first. I'm not going to take care of people emotionally. I'm not going to give them things that I'm not able to give to myself. And I'm not going to give things to people so that they love me or are in my life. I don't want them to go out there and say, she's so nice, she did all these things for me. I didn't care about that. I cared about creating that within myself. And I made this bet with myself and I said, until I'm able to somehow give to myself all of this effort I've been given to people, I'm not going to continue to support anybody in my life. And I'm not going to let myself fall back into this codependent way of living where we are feeling only as good because we're giving to people. And people, can be appreciative and think, oh, this person did so much for me, but they will never do the same for you. So in a way, our grand effort to do so many things for people hides this need to get them to do something for us, thinking if I save them, if I fix them, if I take care of them, if I parent them, they will do that for me. So we have to really shift that narrative and go from how do I parent others, right? How do I raise others? How do I teach others how to love me? Bring it back home and say, how do I teach myself how to love myself? How do I parent myself? How do I become the friend and the lover that I am to others, to myself, in a way where I am fixated on how I feel, I anticipate my needs, I'm kind to me, I'm understanding, I'm patient. I do this with a lot of clients that come to me, especially those who struggle with codependency. And I say, sometimes they'll say some things about themselves, and I always say, would you ever say the things that you're saying to yourself to anybody in your life? They're like, no way, right? Because we have this filter that when it comes to others, we can be so good and so patient and so understanding. But when it comes to ourselves, because we fundamentally feel unworthy, we can't. And so in a way, we're treating ourselves the way we've been treated. And the way we are parenting and loving ourselves is exactly the way that our parents did. And if we've had emotionally mature and toxic and narcissistic parents, that is bad. I don't need to tell you. If you're here, you already know. It's really bad. And if we were to tell the world the things that we say to ourselves, they'd be like, what is wrong with you, right? That's how cruel the inner relationship has turned to, because we see ourselves as somebody completely unworthy. So what do we do with this? Obviously, we need to reparent ourselves, right? We need to become the adult that we never had. We need to become somebody that our younger versions would feel so safe and loved by that it's just, there's no doubt there. We have to completely shift the way we relate to ourselves and the way we respond to us being a human, right? Making mistakes, doing the wrong thing, saying the wrong thing, not figuring out things, right? In the process of learning how to be human. This is key, because some people enter this thing of like, oh, I'm going to find my worth. I'm going to be someone who is really kind to myself, but they only do it in a performative way, right? They go into the healing journey. So now they're kind to themselves. So now they're kind to themselves because they're somehow proud of themselves because they're doing good. Oh, look at me. I'm journaling every day. I'm so proud of myself. Look at me. I'm eating right. Look at me. I'm doing my daily meditation. Look at me. I'm doing these things. It's a very performative type of recognizing our worth because we're just valuing the effort and seeing it as worthy, which is performing for our own acceptance, right? And that's exactly what we did when we were kids. So it is very important that if we're really serious about reparenting ourselves genuinely, a parent is not there to just recognize all the things that you're doing great and to cheer on you for that. A parent is there to help you and guide you through learning how to be human, which includes a lot of mistakes and a lot of repetitions and a lot of learning that is not easy, and a lot of patience and a lot of empathy. And that is key. And I will have to make a whole video about what I think about self-love, because in reality, self-love is just having a good attitude towards ourselves no matter what, and basically having empathy for who we are and our human experience. Without that, it being, coddling or not sort of pushing ourselves to do the things that we want to do or we have to do. But the fundamental essence of showing ourselves that we are lovable and we're worthy to be treated a certain way is if we can look at ourselves at any stage and at any space of our lives and be kind to ourselves, respectful, have empathy, have understanding, and then know how to get ourselves out of it, because we also deserve to feel better, right? So it's a really complex relationship that can only be pragmatized if we truly ignite that inner parent, which is like a part of us that holds the ability to be loving and patient, to hold space. And it's that energy that we can easily bring out for others. And I see it in myself, like it's so easy for me to do it at work with clients. I see them and I see them, right? I don't see them and judge. I'm like, oh, they're this. I see them in such an unconditional way where it's just natural for me to have empathy for them. And that is the key here when we're trying to reparent. It is easier for us to extend empathy to somebody externally than it is to do it for ourselves. Because as I said, we see ourselves as fundamentally unworthy in a place where it doesn't feel like we could alter it by just thinking of it. Of course we're worthy. Of course we deserve things. We say it, we shout it in the universe, we script it, but we don't fully believe it because nobody showed it to us. And if anything, our long history of trying to get people to show us this has brought us to the painful space of people showing us exactly what we believed all along. That we have no value unless we're somehow serving them, helping them, making them feel good. Us, as who we are, in our worst, has no value to people. And in a way, it translates to how we treat ourselves. So I read this beautiful comment the other day that made me think of this. And I'm going to try and give you this perspective to yourself. So I don't normally do these types of things in the videos. I reserve these for my individual clients and my programs. But I want to give you a bit of a taste of what it feels like to look at yourself through a different perspective. And I want to see and I want to hear in the comments what comes up for you. I don't know where you are now, and if you're able to maybe get a little bit more comfortable, and maybe if you want to close your eyes and take a few deep breaths and see if you can try to take deep breaths coming from your belly, and take a big inhale from your belly for 4 seconds. Hold it at the top for another 4, 2, 3, 4, and then release for 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then another inhale for 4. Hold for another 4, and release for 6. Good. We're just going to do one more. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold and release. And now just situate your body in a way where it feels comfortable to just look within rather than just try to be aware of your external environment. And I want you to imagine or sort of think about a moment. Let's say you're in your house. You're sitting in your house, you're sitting on your couch, and the doorbell rings. You're not expecting anybody, you don't know who this is, and so you're gonna look through the little thing in the door to see who it is, and you can't see anything. But the door keeps on being knocked. Somebody's knocking that door. You just can't see them. So eventually you just open a little bit the door, and what you see is a young child. Maybe they're 6, maybe they're 7, and they look in such a bad shape. They look dirty, neglected, unwanted. It's almost like if you could envision what garbage looks like in a depiction in a person, that's what they looked like, as if somebody just threw their garbage. But this is not garbage. This is a human being that just looks rough. And you can tell that they're completely unwanted and underappreciated. So you're peeking and you're seeing this and you're shocked. what is your first instinct? Do you open the door? Do you take them in? Do you want to take care of them? Do you want to do something for them? Or are you going to just shut down the door in their face? And now whatever you answered, I want to circle back to that scene again where someone's knocking the door, you check, nobody's there, and now you open the door and they say, you open and you see that child that looks so rough, and they say, it's me. Don't you recognize me? Who do you see in that child that looks nothing like you of now, or you of ever in that image? But perhaps you can see that everything you're seeing on their body now is just a representation of the wounds they carry and how they feel throughout their whole childhood and through how they're being treated. And I want you to look through their eyes and tell me that you see and you believe that anybody in this world, no matter how rough they're looking or how they're being treated, is actually unworthy. And now ask yourself, what would I do if this child came knocking at my door as a past version of myself, telling me to recognize them, to see them, and they're carrying externally, I can see everything that has happened to them. What would I do to take care of them? Now that I see so clearly how the past has shaped them. How would you take care of yourself? What do you think that child needs? To know that they're worthy. And now when you're ready, just open your eyes. And I'm just going to leave you with one last question. How can you treat yourself as if you can remember at all times that whoever you're treating, the way that you're treating, and whatever you're doing, is this inner child? I'll see you guys soon.